Reese Everson,
Okay.
who's an attorney and author of BABE, B-A-B-E. You're going to have to learn about that one. Guide to Winning in the Workplace. You don't have to compromise. Ladies, please take your seats.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Marsha, the BABE's Guide stands for B. B stands for beautiful, A stands for ambitious, B stands for brilliant, E stands for entrepreneurial, woman of excellence. And so the BABE's Guide to Winning in the Workplace, You Don't Have to Compromise, is a guide for young women to address all the issues that we face in the workplace, because as Ms. Ryan said, we're dealing with gender discrimination, we're dealing with racial discrimination, and a lot of times we're unprepared for how to deal with that world. Ms. Ryan dealt with that firsthand in a test that she didn't necessarily have a preparation for. That test came hard and fast when she was sitting there with the man who was no longer on his post, right?
What he's saying to
until August. But the man who is now leaving his post, you got the test, and now you have the testimony that you had to face that issue. So a lot of times we come into this place called the corporate America workplace, and we're unprepared. They told us, go to school, get your degree. But they didn't tell you how to deal with those devils on the other side once you get into that workplace. So this manual walks young women through how to navigate those pitfalls and those issues and those politics.
But I think one of the things, or a couple of things that you have in here that I thought were very important, how not to compromise your values, integrity, and your morals. And too often we get caught up in what this game is supposed to be in corporate America. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
Absolutely. As a young woman, I came to Washington, D.C., an attorney who had her own firm in Chicago, and got to D.C. to work on Capitol Hill as a legislative attorney. And the games that were played, all right, were games that I wasn't familiar with. I didn't understand the rules, so I was a young lady playing checkers while everybody else was playing chess, because they knew how the pieces moved. They knew that the knight did this. They knew that the pawn went one step. They knew, and I didn't know how to navigate, and so I was floundering. And so what I faced was, as a young woman, a beautiful, attractive woman, like many women are in our community, just gorgeous women who want a chance at life, beautiful women, well put together, I dealt with sexual harassment. And when I opened my mouth and said something, I learned a new word, wrongful termination. And then I learned a new word, retaliation. And I said, okay, so not only do you guys not want me to work here anymore, you don't want me to work anywhere. And I said, that's economic murder. You guys are trying to make sure that I have no opportunities anywhere else.
Wait a minute. Economic murder.
They were literally trying to kill the opportunities.
That's a deep term. Wait a minute. Don't go too far. Economic murder and the impact of their decisions.
Yes.
Elaborate a little bit.
When you as a young lady don't have the ability to flourish and thrive the way that your talent and your potential sets you up for, because see, okay, let me just give you a little bit about Reese. Reese is from Detroit. Okay, Reese stood up against the odds. She finished school early, college in 3 years. Wait, I'm just gonna show you this little black girl from Detroit. Finished college in 3 years, finished law school in 2 years, so her aptitude should have set her up to go really, really far, right? But when someone set their target on Reese and said, I want something from her other than her potential, her talent, her capabilities, her capacity, I want something else from her, then he decided when he couldn't have that, I'm gonna shut her down. There's gonna be no more Reese. If you look at the Bible story of Vashti, she was the wife of King Xerxes. When she was called out, he said, come out and show yourself before me in your crown. Come out before me with nothing on. She said, I don't want to defile myself like that. I'm not coming. His ruling was, then you shall come before me no more. You're going to lose your title. You're going to lose your power. You're going to lose your inheritance. You're going to lose your ability to walk around and be held to the stature that you're supposed to be. That's what happens. And a lot of times we find ourselves in these situations because we don't know how to address them.
So when you look at in working in those different environments,
Yeah.
and having to create your own status, you had to create your own plan, your own strategy to stay within that. What are 5 points that you could give to people here who may be very well going through some changes in environments that could be hostile? And we talk about women, but men have those same
Absolutely.
hostilities, and particularly people of color. And so what are some of those issues that you can point to that can help them navigate their environment?
Step 1, work smarter, not harder. I had a young man who sat across from me in a cubicle, and he would get there at 8 o'clock, and his bragging rights was that he left at 7 p.m. at night. I'm not here to outwork you. I'm here to outsmart you. Okay? And so while you're working here trying to put in 12 hours a day, I've got other things to do. But what I can do is reach into this creative mind of mine and say, what can I do that's going to bring the maximum impact? So I said, you know what? I'm going to create a panel. I'm going to invite Susie Orman. They said, you can't invite Susie. My boss said, you can't do that. There's no money for that. There's no time for that. There's no support for that. And she gave me about 10 reasons why it wouldn't work. I did it anyway, and I pulled it off in 3 days. So you outsmart people. You don't outwork them. You come up, you reach into your creativity, into your greatness, into your brilliance, and you say, I've got a solution that nobody else has thought of. While you guys are all running around doing things the long way, let me show you how to do it the smart way. So that's step 1. Step 2 is sometimes when you're dealing with things, God is ready to get you uncomfortable because he's ready for you to leave and be somewhere else and do something else. So for me, I want to be here on Capitol Hill that I didn't realize, no, I have something else for you to do. I don't want you sitting next to a copy machine for the next 10 years. I've got something bigger and better. Your assignment is there, but if I don't make you uncomfortable, you'll never leave. So that's number 2. Number 3 was simply this. I put this on a note card and I put it on my desk and I looked at it every morning. It said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, that fish will always be a failure. I kept saying, I'm not doing something right. I messed this up and I don't know how to navigate this. I'm not doing this right, and they keep coming. I'm uncomfortable. I was being judged on my ability to do things that were not my calling. I'm in my calling right now. This is my purpose. This is where I'm supposed to be. But had I not been terminated, had I not been harassed, had I not left DC, Capitol Hill, to sit at home and write the book and then come and tell this story, you wouldn't be looking at me. So I'm walking in what I'm supposed to be. That's 3. 4 is simply this. There's going to be a lot of uncomfortability. Prepare yourself financially. That's 4. When you know that a shift is happening, don't keep spending like the money's going to keep coming in. You take those checks, you take that car, you tell them, hey, I might need to turn this lease in early. You say, hey, I might need to move back in with my mom or my family. I might need to give up this lease. I don't want to be in a position of lack, because when God gives you something, your next step, he doesn't want you focusing on bills. Oh, I got to pay this. Oh, I got to pay that. Working in your gift requires that you're able to fully devote yourself to what it is that you're supposed to be doing, not stressing about money. So prepare yourself financially. 5, you didn't make yourself. You didn't design yourself. You didn't design a single feature on your body, your face. You didn't come up with any of this. You are not the designer. Have faith and know that everything is according to your creator. Whoever, if you don't subscribe to Christianity, so be it. But whoever created you, they put everything in you, those gifts, those callings, they're for an appointed time. And when God is ready for that to come forward, there's nothing that can stop it. So I want you, on number 5, is to trust. It's not going to look good. It's not going to feel good. It's going to be very uncomfortable. But God. Every single time, but God. And that's all I've got.
We want to go to you. black women at work. You've had those experiences. You know it. How do we then sit down and how does a community actually start holding these major companies accountable? We're losing black people, and especially black women, if they never even, most of them never even got to the top. How do we get them into the top, and how do we get them and protect them while they're there in these major corporations that are for profit that we are buying their products?
I just want to make a point, not just for-profit corporations, government. Young women are coming out of college and they're applying to government agencies and across, not just corporations, and they're finding that there's bureaucracy. They're finding that there's an old boys network.
Still.
And we don't necessarily know, especially young women in my age group, the millennials, we don't quite understand what that is because our mommy and daddy told us to go to school and get a degree and you can be whatever you want to be. And so when you get there and there's someone saying, no, that's not the case and I need you to stay here and know your place and not come above this, you know, don't go to these meetings, don't talk to these people, know your place because that's not for you, then we're bewildered and we're going, wait a minute, hold on, I can't process it. It didn't make sense. And so you have, like you said, a lot of people, young people that are coming into these places, young women coming into the workforce, and they're not ascending to the top. Issue one, we don't have the same type of advocates on our behalf. If you don't have a workplace mentor, let's just stop and ask, what is success? Success is following in the footsteps of your successor. You cannot have success without someone that you're following in their steps. That's what the word says. You're following the success of a successor. And so unless someone takes your hand and says, come on, I'm going to show you how this goes. You need a Harriet Tubman. You need someone to grab your hand and say, you're coming with me. I see something in you. I like it. You're working hard. I'm not saying that you shouldn't put your time in, but sometimes you got to do something a little special to get a little extra shine when everybody else is putting all that other stuff in. All right, we're good. Okay, so sometimes you need someone to grab your hand, and we don't always have that. So that's issue number one in the workforce, is that we just come in and we work and we expect that our good deeds are supposed to showcase themselves, and they don't. We have to learn how to toot our own horn. We have to learn how to be the unicorn instead of the horse. All the horses are marching together, but you come out and be the unicorn and do a little twirl for them and show them something different that they've not seen before. We have to learn the tools that these other people are using. And so then when we get into these positions of power, like this young lady, and we're sitting at the table with these people who don't look like us and they don't talk like us and they don't come from where we come from and they don't really understand, well, what's her problem? Well, we paying her a nice paycheck. What's her deal? Why is she complaining? Then we are at the point where, okay, now you need another form of an advocate. You need someone to come to the table if you're dealing with harassment, discrimination, and you need to know what the rules are. Maybe they're not paying you the same. How do you ask for what you deserve? Are you sitting at the table with 6 Jewish men and do you believe that you're getting the same paycheck that they are? Because if not, there's some economic assassination happening, okay? And so when you then say, okay, well, I don't feel like I'm being treated fairly or I'm not getting what I deserve, how do you speak up? Oftentimes we're by ourselves in these situations. We're just kind of standing alone like April Ryan. We're like, wait a minute, I don't know what just happened, and I feel like I'm being attacked. There has to be an advocacy group. I created Babes in the Workplace as a response. When I was going through my sexual harassment, I went online and there was nowhere to go to help me advocate for me. Right. There was no one to help me answer the questions. I didn't know who to talk to, so I became the answer I was looking for.
How you see yourself. And when you see yourself, you want to just kind of talk about that at the end of this?
Yes. The answer, do we have to fall on the sword? I'm going to say no. The subtitle of the book is You Don't Have to Compromise. Maybe I'm the young, hard-headed girl on the panel, but when someone tells me no, I don't have a lexicon or something that processes what that means. What does no mean? You're not telling me no. So if you say you don't work here anymore and I'm going to take your income away, that doesn't mean that I don't have an income. You're just a resource. You are not my source. So I don't have an issue saying, I'm not falling on the sword. If God told me to walk away, or if this is where I'm standing and this is my line, I'm going to hold my line and I'm not compromising. That's it. And I know sometimes it's a little different, but as far as how you see yourself, once you know who exactly you are, and once you know why you're here and who you're connected to, you'll have no problem standing in your power and saying, I'm here for a reason and I don't have to compromise.
Oh my goodness, let's give these ladies a round of applause.